Hello and welcome to Chapter 2, Company and Marketing Strategy, Partnering to Build Customer Engagement, Value and Relationships. Today's topics are going to look at explaining the company-wide strategic planning and the 4 steps that are involved in that. We'll also look to discuss how to design business portfolios and develop a growth strategy. We'll look to explain marketing's role in strategic planning and how marketing works with its partners to create and deliver customer value. Look to describe the elements of a customer-driven marketing strategy and a mix and what actually forces are influencing that. And we'll also look at marketing management functions, including the elements of the marketing plan, and discuss the importance of measuring and managing return on marketing investment. So let's get started. Let's start off first by looking at the company-wide strategic planning, so defining marketing's role. Strategic planning has been defined as the process of developing and maintaining a strategic fit between the organization's goals and capabilities and its changing market opportunities. So companies have to identify all the long-run survival and growth strategies that will make sense for it. They also need to make sure that they're considering the situation that the organization or company is in, what opportunities are out there, what the main objectives are of the organization, and of course the resourcing that is available to them. So essentially, the organization or senior executives are looking for identifying where are we now, where do we want to be, and how are we going to get there. So we're going to do this through 4 different activities. The 4 steps are firstly defining the company's mission, and then we'll look at setting the company's objectives and goals, designing the business portfolio, and planning marketing and other functional strategies. So that first step about defining a market-oriented mission. This is where we start looking at the mission statement. And fundamentally, the definition of a mission statement is a statement of the organization's purpose, what it wants to accomplish in the larger environment in which it operates. So an organization exists to accomplish something specific, and that purpose has to be really clearly stated. So a clear mission statement acts as this invisible hand, and that invisible hand is what's guiding people in the organization. It actually brings everyone together and sets them down the same path. Now we know that the best mission statements, they should not be product oriented, and nor should they be sales or profit specific. This would be very limiting, and it may even, in fact, cause barriers for individuals within the organization to think of those new opportunities and to pursue or build marketing plans and business cases to pursue these new opportunities in the market. So what should a good mission statement look like? Well, essentially it should be really meaningful and specific and motivating for the staff. It needs to also look at being defined in terms of satisfying basic customer needs, because after all, that's the reason why we're in business. And therefore, it needs to be market-oriented, focusing on the customer, not product-oriented. So, mission statements usually are formed by asking these 4 very simple questions. Forging a sound mission begins with, what is our business? Who is the customer? What do consumers value? And what should our business be? These simple sounding questions are among the most difficult the company will ever have to answer, and successful companies continuously raise these questions and answer them very carefully and completely. Setting company objectives and goals is the next step in the process. So this is where we actually turn the mission into a detailed supporting objective for each level of management. A broad mission leads to a hierarchy of objectives, including business objectives and marketing objectives across all the strategic business units, or sometimes they're called global business units. A lot of companies have a structure with a number of strategic business units, as I said, also known as global business units in some companies. Procter & Gamble is an example of that. they have global business units. And these are key business units that make up the company. So if I were talking about Procter & Gamble, we know they have a hair care section, a feminine care area, household cleaning products. These are all strategic business units, or global business units as they call them. Now what they need to do is create goals and objectives for each one of these business units. And we use the process when we're setting an objective or a goal, we use the process of SMART, SMART. S stands for specific, so it's what exactly do we want to achieve? M stands for measurable, establishing clear definitions to help measure if you're reaching that goal. A is attainable. What steps can you take to reach the goal? R is for relevant. How will meeting this goal help you? Does the goal relate to even the mission? Is it on track? Is it a good strategic fit? And T is time-bound. How long will it take to reach the goal? So a very simple marketing objective might be written as increase market share of a brand's name, John West Tin Tuna, from 13.5% to 13.9% by the end of 31st of December 2019. When we use that system, we know that we're saying we want to increase market share. So that's quite specific there. We've also allocated which brand and what type of product it is. The measurable component of that I just mentioned would be moving the share from 13.5 to 13.9%. Is it attainable? What steps do we need to take to reach it? And is it relevant? Well, if you're a business of seafood, then it'd be highly relevant to your mission. And in terms of attainable, it doesn't seem like such a big stretch where you'd have to bring in a whole lot of new resources, maybe a new marketing team or something like that. The existing marketing team probably could handle an increase of around 4.4%. So it's quite attainable. And time-bound, well, we said it was the end of December 2019. So that's how we would write an objective. It's not a paragraph, it's really just a bullet point. This then brings us into the next stage, designing the business portfolio. Now, when we look at business portfolios, this is guided by the marketing organization's mission statement, objectives, and also management, because they then need to plan out this business portfolio. So essentially, the definition of a business portfolio is it's a collection of businesses and products that make up the company. Normally, this involves two steps. Firstly, we want to look at analysing the current business portfolio. This is where we'll look to decide which businesses should receive more, less, or no investment. The second step in this process of looking at a business portfolio is to shape the future portfolio. And this might be about developing strategies for growth or even downsizing. A very common tool, marketing and management tool that is used is the Boston Consulting Group Growth Share Matrix, or also known as BCG Share Matrix. A portfolio planning method that evaluates a company's strategic business units in terms of its market growth rate and relative market share. So the BCG gets used in terms of, it's a very flexible tool, so companies may use it for certainly evaluating the company's strategic business units, but it can also be used for products or brands or even categories in large supermarket areas. So you might want to be in the areas of beverage, but you might want to look at the areas of carbonated beverage versus orange juice versus energy drinks. So when you're looking at these types of tools, these tools are very useful, because what happens is that this particular tool, the BCG tool, this is actually where they classify either the SBU or the brand or the product or whatever the point of reference is into stars, cash cows, question marks, or dogs. Now, when we're using this type of approach, and we're putting them into these categories, basically we're talking about, say, cash cows. Cash cows are low growth, high share businesses or products. These are established and successful SBUs, and they need less investment to hold their market share. Therefore, they produce a lot of cash, and the company can use to pay its bills or to support other SBUs that need investment. The stars are high growth, high share businesses or products, and they often need heavy investment to finance their rapid growth. Eventually, their growth will slow down, and in turn, hopefully, they will convert into a cash cow. Now, question marks are low share business units in high growth markets. So they rely on a lot of cash to hold their share, let alone increase it. Management has to think really hard about which question marks should they try to build into stars and which should be phased out. The last one there is the dog. Dogs are low growth, low share businesses and products. They may generate enough cash to maintain themselves, but they don't promise to be large sources of cash. And more often than not, dogs are divested. So another tool that is used is the product market expansion grid. And this is also a portfolio planning tool, identifying company growth opportunities through either market penetration, market development, or product diversification. So when we start looking at this tool, we can see here that we look at our existing products that we have going to our existing markets. This is what we call market penetration. So basically, we're trying to grow or increase our sales of our current products to our current market segments without changing the product. Now, marketers, once they've achieved that, they also may be doing, say, for example, new product development, which is called product development. Product development growth is achieved by offering modified or new products to your current market segments. So, for example, Coke might be trying to initiate a market penetration strategy, but then they want to also keep their current market quite stimulated, so they'll bring out Coke Vanilla. Now, the other one is market development, and this is where we take our existing products to a new market. So the growth by identifying and developing new market segments for current company products. Now, the segments can be customer or consumer segments, or it could even be taking into the new market, which is a new geographic expansion. The last one is where we build new products and take them to new markets, and this is called diversification. Growth is usually achieved through startup or acquiring some businesses outside the company's current products and markets. It could also be about starting up a new product, which is outside of the core competency of the company. So there's two types of diversification: related and unrelated. Related would be where you start to acquire or start up a business or a strategic business unit or a product or something like that, and it's already in the industry or the category that you operate. But sometimes you want to diversify your market and create a whole new area or a whole new strategic business unit, which actually is very much outside of your core competency, and this would be unrelated. So when we're planning marketing and other functional strategies, we know that each company department is linked in the company's internal value chain. So these departments carry out value-creating activities to design, produce, market, deliver, and support the company's products. So, for example, the goal of a major grocery and liquor retailer, Aldi or Coles or Woolworths, is to create customer value and satisfaction by providing shoppers with the products they want at the lowest possible price. Marketers at these chains play a very important role. They learn what customers need and ensure the store shelves are stocked with the desired products at a competitive low price. They prepare advertising and merchandising programs and assist shoppers with customer service. Through these and other activities, the chain store marketer helps deliver value to the customer. However, the marketing department needs help from the company's other departments. So for example, Coles Supermarket's ability to offer the right products at low prices depend on the skill of the buyers and the controllers in developing the needed supplies and buying from them at very low cost. So Coles Information Technology, or their IT department, has to provide fast and accurate information about which products are selling in each store. And its operations people has to provide effective low-cost merchandising handling. A company's value chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So success will depend on how well each department performs its work of adding customer value, and on how well the activities of various departments are coordinated. So using the Coles supermarket example, if buyers cannot obtain the lowest prices from their suppliers, or if operations cannot distribute merchandise at the lowest cost, then marketing can't deliver on its promise of everyday low price. And that's about the value delivery network. So this means we're now going to move into the customer value driven marketing strategy. So companies can't profitably serve all consumers in a given market. There are too many different kinds of consumers with too many different kinds of needs. And we've discussed this in the previous sessions. Each company has to divide up the total market and choose the best segment and design strategies for profitably serving those segments. And we know that this process involves what we call market segmentation, market targeting, differentiation and positioning, or STP for short. So market segmentation, as a reminder, is the process of analysing how a market is naturally broken into distinct groups of buyers who have different needs, characteristics or behaviours, and who might want or require tailored products or marketing programs. A market segment consists of consumers who respond in a similar way to a given set of marketing efforts. So market targeting is really involving evaluation of each market segment's attractiveness and selecting one or more segments to enter. So a company should target segments which they can profitably generate the greatest customer value and sustain it over time. So a company with limited resources might decide to serve only one or a few special segments or market niches. Such niches specialise in serving customer segments that major competitors overlook or possibly even ignore. So, for example, Ferrari might sell fewer than 100 of its 4-seater V8 powered cars in Australia each year, but at very high price, and an eye-opening, I think, $400,000 plus. Most niches are not quite so exotic. Another example would be Yakult, maker of fermented milk drinks containing a beneficial bacterium called Lactobacillus. So this strain has found its niche as a nation's market leader of this type of acidophilus and helps get rid of unwanted bacteria in the body. And although Logitech is often a fraction of the size of giant Microsoft, through skillful niching, it dominates the PC mouse market, with Microsoft as a runner-up. So these are all examples that market targeting can be very profitable even in smaller groups. Now, we have to think about market differentiation and positioning. So positioning is arranging for a product to occupy a clear, distinctive and desirable place in the minds of target consumers versus competing products. Positioning is why a shopper will pay a little more for the brand. Marketers plan positions that distinguish their products from competing brands and give them the greatest advantage in their target markets. So differentiation is essentially differentiating the company's market offering from that offered by competitors, and it's all about creating superior customer value. We then move into the marketing mix, And we know that this is a set of controllable tactical marketing tools that the company blends to produce the response it wants in the target market. So the marketing mix consists of everything the company can do to influence the demand for its product. Of course, there's the traditional 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. But don't forget the other 3 P's: process, people, and physical evidence. Managing the marketing effort is what it's all about. So when we undertake some marketing analysis, basically managing marketing begins with a complete analysis of the marketing organization situation. So we'll have a look at the category and the segments, and we'll try and understand where the growth is and what's driving growth. At the end of that, we'll look at what we call the SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats for the organization are. So a SWOT analysis is an overall evaluation of the company's strengths. What have they done better than their competitors? Weaknesses, what are they not? Where are they not performing perhaps as best as their competitor? Opportunities to pursue in the market, and any threats that are coming about from changes or evolving situations. So you can see here in this chart that on the left-hand side, the strengths and the opportunities are very positive. On the right-hand side, the weaknesses and the threats are negative. But what's more important and more interesting for the marketer is that internally, the strengths and the weaknesses are generated by the company. So this is an internal perspective. These are things that the organization has done themselves. So as a strength, the internal capabilities that may help the company reach its objectives. As a weakness, these are limitations that may interfere with the company's ability to achieve its objectives. And then we turn our focus to the external. These are the opportunities and the threats. So opportunities are external factors that the company may be able to exploit to its advantage, and thereby helping to reach its objectives. The threats, on the other hand, are current or emerging external factors that may challenge the company's performance. These may not necessarily be things that we can control. Things like changing government legislation. So these threats can be coming from perhaps our weaknesses, or the change in a environmental factor, or it could even be a change in a competitive position. What we understand is that it's the collection of the SWOT analysis that enables us as marketers to be able to help reach the organization's required objectives and ultimate mission. So this then brings us into market planning. Through strategic planning, the company decides what it wants to do with each of these business units. Marketing planning involves deciding on marketing strategies that will help the company attain its overall strategic objectives. So a detailed plan is needed for each business, product, or brand. And this is the contents of a marketing plan. So you can see it might start off with the executive summary, which is a brief summary of the main goals and recommendations. A table of contents should always follow the executive summary. A current marketing situation analysis is undertaken. So this describes the target market and the company's position, including information about the market itself, product performance, competition, and distribution. So the section generally looks at the market description, which are about the major segments, and also reviews the customer needs. A product review, which shows sales, price, gross margin, and so forth. A review of competition, which identifies the main competitors and assesses their market position. And a review of marketing channels and logistics, which evaluates recent sales trends and other developments. We then also have the threats and opportunities analysis. And this is where we assess major threats and opportunities that the product might face, helping management to anticipate important positive or negative developments that might have an impact on the company and its strategies. The objectives and issues section looks at the marketing objectives of what the company wants to try and achieve during the planning period. And then that looks at our marketing strategy itself. And this is where we might outline the broad marketing logic which the business hopes it can create customer value. It's looking at how will the company create the value for customers in order to capture the value from the customers. And the section also outlines specific strategies for each marketing mix element and explains how each strategy responds to the threats and opportunities and any critical issues that were spelled out earlier in the plan. Now, the action program spells out how marketing strategy is going to be turned into specific actions. They have to usually answer what is going to be done, when will it be done, who will do it, and how much is it going to cost. And of course, the budgets is where we look at the marketing budget that's essentially a projected profit and loss statement showing expected revenues. And once approved by higher management, the budget becomes the basis of material buying, production scheduling, personnel planning, and marketing operations. And lastly, we have the controls area, or monitor, or it is also called the metrics. And this outlines the controls or monitoring that is going to be used to look at the progress and allow higher management to review the implementation results. It includes measures of return on marketing investment. So then we get into the marketing implementation stage, and this is the process that turns the marketing plans into marketing actions in order to accomplish strategic marketing objectives. While marketing planning addresses the what and why of marketing activities, implementation addresses the who, where, when, and how. So many managers think that doing things right, which is implementation, is as important as, even more important than, doing the right things, which is strategy. The fact is that both are critical to the success of the organisation, and companies can gain competitive advantage through effective implementation. So marketing controls is basically where the marketer has to practice constant evaluation of results. It's of the marketing strategies and plans, and they have to take corrective action to ensure that objectives are attained. Generally speaking, it involves 4 things: setting specific marketing goals, measuring its performance in the marketplace, evaluating the causes of any differences between expected and actual performance, and taking corrective action to close the gaps between goals and performance. So this area is very straightforward. It's about measuring and managing return on the marketing investment. So what we're looking at here is the net return from our marketing investment divided by the costs of the marketing investment itself. So marketing returns can be very difficult to measure. Think about when we were looking at setting our communications budget and we were using the objective task method. We said you need to think of all the tasks that are going to happen, what the return will be, and how much that will cost. At this stage, we have to actually check whether or not we achieve what we said that activity would achieve. In measuring financial ROI, both the return and the investment are measured in dollars. So, what did we get from the investment and how much was the investment? So that's this week's session. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next week for week 11. And just remember, week 12 is revision and there will be no recording in week 12. Thank you and enjoy your day.